Alright, this is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com to have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, we're going to answer the question that a lot of you guys have been asking me. John, should I get a brand new Dynapro DPS 2250 or should I get the biochef kit that will fit on top of a Vitamix? If you have a Vitamix, maybe you might want to get this kit. You might not want to get a new blender, but maybe if you don't already own a Vitamix, should you maybe even go out and buy a used Vitamix base, which I have had some customers do, and then buy the kit so that you can now vacuum blend? Well, watch this video to find out. There are pros and cons to each of these options, and in this video, I hope to explain the different options and which one may be better for you, including doing testing to see which one of these two options would blend things better. For example, we're going to blend some seeds up, dry seeds. We're going to blend a smoothie up in here to see the consistency, and we will also be making a juice. Yes, I like to make juice in a vacuum blender. It's the best way to make juice, even over all the different juicers that we offer at Discount Juicers in terms of nutrition and the yield at the same time. That being said, not every specific recipe can be juiced in a vacuum blender. It can be difficult and challenging. So first, let's get right into this. Of course, the biochef option, if you already own the Vitamix, is about 3 times less expensive than getting the Dynapro. So should you get a new Dynapro? Well, that depends on you and the condition of your Vitamix motor, honestly. Okay, so let's just immediately talk about warranty, because that's where really the Dynapro shines, like literally. The Dynapro has a full 15-year warranty on the entire machine, the carafe, and the motor pump. And in my opinion, based on what I've seen, the pumps are the most likely item to fail. And if you just had to buy this pump alone, I think it's like $150 or something like that. Don't quote me exactly, but it's over $100. Just for the pump alone. Meanwhile, over on the biochef, right, the warranty on the carafe is 7 years, and the pump only has a 2-year warranty. I have had some customers that their pump failed after 2 years, and then they were left without a pump. They had to buy another one, which was also about $150, or figure out some other kind of solution so they could pump out the air out of the container. So just right away, the Dynapro has twice the warranty plus a year on the carafe, and literally 7.5 times longer warranty on the pump alone. So if you like investing in something good that's going to pay you back in the future, right? Time value of money, right? The Dynapro might be a better investment. That being said, using this kit on your Vitamix may void your Vitamix warranty, right? If Vitamix knows that you're using aftermarket items to use on their motor base, because they're going to say, oh, this caused the problem, and then they might invalidate your motor warranty. Also, you know, your Vitamix, when you purchased it new, has probably a 7-year warranty, unless you got a refurbished one, then it might be 3 years or something shorter. And you might not have a warranty left on your Vitamix. Maybe your Vitamix doesn't work exactly perfectly, and maybe that'd be a good reason maybe to upgrade to the Dynapro. So really it just kind of depends. If you don't have a lot of money and you want to just start vacuum blending, it might be a good idea to get the biochef, you know, or even look into an inexpensive vacuum blender. And here's the thing, guys, I don't care what vacuum blender you guys use, whether you get a Dynapro or a biochef, or even get another vacuum blender. There's unfortunately not many vacuum blenders on the market because the public at large has not embraced vacuum blending. The public at large does not understand vacuum blending. Unless you watch my videos, I'm like the main guy that promotes vacuum blending on YouTube. There's very few videos on vacuum blending espousing its benefits. I will tell you guys straight up, it makes a huge difference. And all my friends that I've introduced it to, they just rant and rave about vacuum blending now. Once you try it, I mean, once you go back, you won't go back, like literally. And I don't care what option you get for vacuum blending, you need to get a good option that's going to work so that you guys can get the benefits that vacuum blending offers. You know, the main thing, a recent friend that I talked about, Lissa and Nate from Raw Food Romance, told me, like, man, our gas and bloating has gone down dramatically since we started using a vacuum blender. Actually, they got the biochef link down below to the video I made with Nate and Lissa. In addition, you know, you're going to have better color retention of the ingredients, which also translates to better flavor retention, less air bubbles in your mixtures. You're going to retain higher levels of those phytonutrients, including polyphenol and antioxidants that can be oxidized when the blender is running under traditional atmospheric pressures. I'm not here to sell you on vacuum blending today necessarily. I have other videos I'll post down below to the Dynapro and the biochef where we compare that. But really, vacuum blending is the future. And you know, if you guys are making margaritas in your blenders, like, just don't worry about a vacuum blender. But if you guys are seriously blending on a medical medium program for your health, or you know, making smoothies with like leafy greens and berries and high nutrition foods, right? I would encourage you guys to get a vacuum blender. Actually, a friend of mine just got a vacuum blender to blend dried herbs, and she says it has better color retention, you know, than without it. You know, vacuum blending makes a huge difference, and I don't care what option you guys get, you just want to get one. I guess we could go to like the motor bases, which doesn't really compare these guys, but the motor base on the Vitamix has a 2.2 horsepower motor, and over on the Dynapro it has a 2.5 horsepower motor. So the motor on the Dynapro is more powerful as a specification on paper. That being said, you know, horsepower to me is not the most important thing in a blender. More importantly to me is actually the torque of the blender and the RPMs. So the torque specifications are not published as far as I'm aware, but the RPMs on the Dynapro is up to 32,500 RPMs. On the Vitamix, you know, it can vary, you know, depending on what model, maybe like 28,000 RPMs, somewhere around there. So it will operate slower. That being said, the last Vitamix I tested with a speed meter, it actually ran even slower than that, than the spec'd out, you know, thing that they say online. In addition, where these machines made, of course, this is all made in China, and you know, this here is made in South Korea. Now, the motor, the whole unit here is actually made in South Korea, except the motor, which is actually made in Sweden. It's a high-quality Swedish motor on the DPS 2250. And of course, on the Vitamix is assembled in the US, but now they are using imported parts. The motors on the newer machines are imported, and maybe from places like Mexico or maybe even China. And I'm not really sure on that, but these are assembled in the United States. So I mean, right then and there, I mean, just between where these made, you know, I would personally rather go with South Korea versus a Chinese-made product myself. Of course, both these items are BPA-free. They use the Eastman Triton copolymer. I guess the next thing, of course, is the main difference is the height difference, right? A lot of you guys have owned the Vitamix forever and have these tall carafes, and they just don't fit underneath your cabinets and your counters in your kitchen. And so I really like the Dynapro because it's a lot shorter and will fit under your cabinets. Now, another thing that's important is that this carafe is long and slender and tall. This carafe is kind of more short and squat. Me personally, I like the more short and squat carafes because I blend large volumes. Generally, the larger volumes you do, the shorter and squat carafes are more effective for things like dry blending. The short and fat carafe is more effective if you are vacuum blending, because here's the thing, in a vacuum blender you can no longer use a tamper to push things in a narrow carafe. With this wider base, and let's go ahead and show that to you guys, with this wider base on here, things drop down in a lot easier than a narrow carafe that things just don't drop down because there's not a lot of space for them to get down. I mean, this carafe was pretty much designed to use with a tamper, and now if you do a vacuum on this, you can't use a tamper. So what does that mean to you? That means you have to modify your recipes to maybe add more water or more liquidy ingredients so that it will blend without using a tamper, and this is something that you'll have to adjust. Of course, on the Dynapro, because it is shorter and fatter and there's a wider blade reach, things could kind of drop between these blades and spin around and get cut, whereas in here there's a lot more narrow space between the blades for things to drop down. This is really imperative if you want to do vacuum juicing, which I'll talk about in a minute. This carafe is a lot more conducive to vacuum juicing. In addition, you know, the pulse feature on the Dynapro makes vacuum juicing a lot easier than the Vitamix, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Also, too, like this is a smoke carafe. You know, it's still see-through, but this is more of a clear carafe. I like the see-through carafe myself, and on the Dynapro also, there's this little blue indicator. So this blue indicator is a raw food temperature indicator for people that are, you know, on a raw foods diet. This color will change if your mixture gets above 118 degrees, or the raw food temperature, which that's kind of nice. The Dynapro carafe is only marked up to 32 ounces. It should have markings all the way up to the top, which is something I don't really like. I like it when there's markings all the way up to the top. On the biochef carafe, it's marked up to 68 ounces, although, you know, of course, this carafe will also hold easily 68 ounces as well. Now the blade designs are just a little bit different. On this you have a star propeller blade, and then the blades are actually serrated on there on the bottom. So don't do this at home, but if I just go ahead and rub my finger against the blade, I mean, it's serrated, but it's not super sharp. I could rub my finger against this and not cut myself. And then there's also two other blades. Instead of the star, there's two that actually point up that may help things if it goes down, to kind of run into that, to kind of grind it up a little bit better so it doesn't have to drop down. So this may be an improvement on the Vitamix blade on some level, due to the blades pointing up. Now on the Dynapro blade, I will not stick my fingers in there, because I learned the hard way that I stuck my fingers in there and then rubbed my finger across it and I cut my finger. Their new Dynapro 2250 has their sharper blades, and so the blades are a lot sharper and just a lot more, and just that same standard star pattern. Now both these blade assemblies are designed as non-removable, so you're not supposed to necessarily take them apart to clean them. You can, however, if you have this tool to remove this, and actually the Dynapro blade you can actually undo with your hands. I'm not going to show you guys that today. So if you do need to do a user replacement, I guess probably the thing I also want to say is that parts, you know, are parts available for the biochef if you need them for your 7-year warranty. And I do not believe that biochef in the USA carries individual seals or bearing or blade assemblies or anything like that, whereas Tribest has a full supply of different O-rings and blade assemblies. Should that part go bad, you know, they will handle it under warranty for you guys. So that might be important for you guys to know. Now let's see, what else do I want to say about these carafes? I mean, each one of these, like the grip on the Tribest is square, whereas the grip on the biochef is circular. So honestly, I kind of like the grip on the biochef. That being said, these are stackable containers, and I own 3 of these containers. So you could actually stack them up so they save less space, and actually this guy is non-stackable. Let's see, oh, and then the next thing I want to go over is the lids. So which one of these lids do I like better? Well, to me, I clearly like the Dynapro lid better. Number 1, it's see-through. Number 2, it has like a nice ring that you can easily remove if you need to clean it. The biochef lid, on the other hand, is kind of like, this is a hard plastic see-through, and this is like a black, kind of like some kind of material that's flexible, probably some other kind of plastic or something like that. And then this also has a seal that's removable, but it has 3 levels of locking. Although if you put this seal in there, if you put it in, the top 1 seal for sure doesn't really do anything because it's too high, right around the spout, and maybe the first level and maybe the second level. The second level is right on the line, so the second level might not even do any sealing, whereas this has 2 levels of sealing, and when you put it in, it just goes straight in. Now, which one of these carafes is easier to remove after you vacuumed out the oxygen out of the carafe? Well, I would say the Dynapro, because they actually have they designed a lid so that you could put your thumb on this part of the carafe and then your finger on this. So you can kind of see my thumb's on this, my finger's on this, and then you pull up this little tab, and at the same time you lift up. I'll demonstrate that again. You put your finger on this, push this up while lifting the tab. You push it up, and it comes off fairly easily. Over on the biochef, basically, I mean, you got to use the spout as your tab, and you could probably hold on to this and then get your finger underneath this little ledge here while you're pulling up on this tab to pull it up, and it's a little bit more difficult to remove and take off. Now, here's the thing you guys don't want to do. You don't want to just put this under vacuum and then just try to pull the lid off. It's going to be a lot more harder. I always encourage you guys, and this will keep your seals in better shape, to lift the little plug. And actually this plug on the Dynapro more freely, easily moves up and down, and the plug on the biochef is a bit more, you know, stuck and locked into place. And let's see here, both these also have a removable plug. I generally don't take this out because if you take this out a lot, it may wear out the seals in there. But I like this plug a little bit better. It just kind of is more tight fitting when you kind of put it in there and rotate it in, it like locks it in. Whereas on this plug here, it's a little more loose fitting due to the design and how it goes in there. And there's like multi-steps on this lid here. I mean, it does work. And so if we just put that in, we just rotate it. You could rotate it to tight, but then you could rotate past the where you should, and then it just comes out. And at that point, I don't think it's really doing too good of a job sealing. So to me, the Dynapro is a much better designed part. Most important thing on this container is you need to make sure that these two little lift handles and these two lift handles are aligned properly, so that they're like next to each other, so that you can take off the lid fairly easily. And if these lift handles are going like diagonally in the place of where the spout comes up, your jar will not seal. Alright, so I think that's it with the carafes. Between these two carafes, I honestly prefer the Dynapro carafe overall. Number one, short and squat, much better design for a vacuum blender when you can't use a tamper. Number two, sharper blades, which is very important to me because I want that fine grind. If you've been using your Vitamix forever, that actually has fairly sharp blades. I'd say similar to like the Dynapro in sharpness. Whereas to me, the biochef, blades are not quite as sharp. And in my previous test, when I personally test the biochef against the Vitamix, ground up a little bit more finer. Although I have friends that I've sold this to that they say the biochef is better than their Vitamix. So, that's what it is. We'll be testing and comparing these in a second on that fact alone. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the pumps, right? So, on the biochef pump, it comes with an AC adapter cord that you plug in so that you can operate the pump. In addition, you can unscrew this little top here, and then they have a little part where you can actually take it apart and put it in AA batteries. Because they give you a AC adapter, you do not need to put in the batteries, okay? So I kind of like that they provide that plug-in AC adapter so that you don't have to buy batteries. Although I have seen the AC adapters fail in some cases. Now over on the Dynapro pump, different story on this. They provide no AC adapter for you. It comes with AA batteries. It takes 8 AA batteries. You could get maybe 100 uses out of the pump before you have to change the AA batteries out. I don't like buying alkaline batteries, so you could buy like some rechargeable batteries and then just recharge them when they're out. Or a customer of mine actually told me there's a battery eliminator you can buy for this. That's going to cost you another like 25 bucks. So you can see here, you basically put in these fake batteries that come with a cord, and then you can then plug in the cord into the wall through the AC adapter. So now I could basically run this without batteries. So I love that solution. I bought one of those instantly because I hate changing batteries. Plus, as the batteries get lower, the pump doesn't pump as quickly. Probably the pressure is the same, but it just doesn't pump as quickly as it would have when the batteries are new. So I'm glad I'm able to do this. I'll put a link down below to the video I made that I talk about this accessory and where you can purchase it. So I guess the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and see which one of these can pump out the carafe faster than the other. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and do a stopwatch, and we're going to time just both carafes sucking out the air with the stock pumps here. And so all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit start here. We're going to hit start on both these, and we're going to let both these pumps pump out all the excess oxygen out of the carafes. Alright, the Dynapro pump stopped at 1 minute and 24 seconds. and the biochef pump stopped at 1 minute and 29 seconds. So I would say that's pretty similar. Maybe the biochef craft pump took a little bit more. And then to release, you just press the button on this one. You can remove the pump. And this one, you just kind of got to break the lock here. On the tribest pump, it has basically a button with a little light that lights up when the pump is operating. On the biochef, there's a little red line or red dot that's there when it's not under vacuum, and as it's going under vacuum, it'll change the green. This is a pressure sensitive kind of detection thing, and on some pumps it actually doesn't work. So if your pump, it just stays red even though it pulls a vacuum, you're still good. Sometimes they just start working later. So the quality in these pumps are probably not the best. Now, I don't have the meter set up and ready to test to see which one of these pull more vacuum. So let's see, how am I going to do this? So I do a cheek test here. I mean, that's a pretty weak vacuum if I just put it to my cheek. And if I put the tribest one to my cheek and do a pump, oh my gosh, like this pump's so hard it almost like sticks on to my cheek. Whereas like this biochef pump, it just doesn't really, I mean, it pulls a vacuum, but it's not as strong in my opinion. So I mean, that's all I have to say about that. I would say maybe the tribest pump is a little bit stronger, but once again, you know, I don't have the right tool at this point to test these. I will probably be testing the vacuums in the future. All right. So once you have these under vacuum, the next thing is to release them. And so we're just going to go ahead and pull the little plug on the tribest to release it. Lets all the vacuum out, and then of course you could lift off the lid. And on the biochef, we're going to go ahead and once again lift that little plug up to release the vacuum. And then we're going to go ahead and pull off the top. So I mean, both these work under vacuum. And is more vacuum better? Well, see, there's pros and cons with more vacuum. With more vacuum pulled, there's more chances of things wearing out, like the bearing and seal assemblies in the blender carafe. And with less vacuum pulled out, you may get a little bit more oxidation. But as long as you're under vacuum, and both these machines provide sufficient vacuum to do sufficient vacuum blending for my testing, because I've used these guys a lot, I'd say you're probably good. You know, and if I had to say one, I'd say the Dynapro Pump, probably a little bit more vacuum than the biochef, but it's probably not super critical. These are like really fine hair things, all right? So we saw that both these work. Both of them pull a vacuum in about 1.5 minutes. Now the next thing I want to talk about is very important. If you need customer service for the biochef or for the Dynapro, which one of these companies, tribest or biochef, has better customer service? So I'm going to say straight up, tribest has better customer service. They have a US-based customer support staff. They're in Anaheim, California, that I have been to their facility. It's a huge facility. And so I'd say they have the better customer support with different parts in stock, whereas the biochef support staff is actually located outside of the country. They do have a warehouse in the US where they do stock all the different major components, you know, should you have warranty claims. That being said, there's no phone number to reach them. You do need to email them or fill out a web form on their website for customer service. Once again, warranty 2 years on the pump, 15 years on the pump, 7.5 times longer. Warranty the craft, 7 years. Warranty in the Dynapro craft, 15 years. And of course, whatever warranty is left on your Vitamix motor base versus a brand new 15-year warranty on the Dynapro. And actually, the next thing I want to talk about is the capabilities of your base. A lot of Vitamixes are just plain Jane, I'd call them stupid blenders, because you have an on and off, a high and a low, or a variable and a high, and you have to control it, and you have to literally babysit your blender. You can stand there, control it, and then you have to shut it off when you're done. I mean, there's been many times in olden days I would turn it on, leave the room because it's too loud, then come back, and my stuff has been over blended. That being said, just like normal, you don't want to blend any longer than absolutely necessary, but at least blending under vacuum, you're going to have less oxidative damage, but also under vacuum, things will warm up and heat up faster than in a standard blender. And I do not recommend that you guys use a vacuum blender to make warm soups. Number one, it's not good to do that because it'll heat up a lot faster than you think it will. Number two, you know, under vacuum and heating things up, not a good idea. Number three, like, using your blender as a heating appliance is a very bad idea because it uses so much excess energy when you could just, you know, vacuum blend whatever you're gonna blend and then heat it up on the stove. Now over on the Dynapro, this has a full suite of controls. Number one, it has a variable speed control knob that you can manually roll back and forth to slow to fast. In addition, it has a couple different pre-programmed buttons, including a blend button that'll just blend at one speed. You also have a pulse button that you could actually press once and it'll just pulse. It'll pulse off, pulse off, pulse off for 30 seconds each time you press that button. It also has a combo button so that it'll blend for 30 seconds at different speeds so that you don't have to. So literally you could punch this as it's blending. You could leave the room. It's going to run for 30 seconds and then shut itself off. If you want it to run 1 minute, then you'd press the combo button twice and it'll run the combo 30-second program twice. You could also press like a pulse button once and then press the combo button once, which will run pulse for 30 seconds and then another standard combo blend at different speeds for 30 seconds and then shut itself off. This is what I really like for vacuum juicing. If you want to do vacuum juicing on the Vitamix, you're just going to have to flick the lever up and down, which may put more wear and tear on your lever. And this is also more of a hands-off approach. The features on your Vitamix motor base may vary depending on the model you have, but generally with the Tribest, you have a lot more flexible controls than the Vitamix. Now I do want to mention, you know, I should have mentioned this earlier, is that this carafe setup will not work if you have the new Smart Detect system on the Vitamix. I think that was the worst invention that Vitamix ever made for the consumer. Maybe it's good for them because now they get to sell you special carafes with a special chip that will only work on their blender. So you can't buy any aftermarket carafes to work on your Ascent or Venturis blender with the Smart Detect system. So this kit will work on all classic Vitamix models and most, but not all commercial models. This system will work. If you have the carafe that kind of looks long and tall like this, chances are it will work for you. Now we're gonna get into blending testing in these two vacuum blenders. First, we're gonna blend flax seeds. Flax seeds are an amazing seed you guys should be eating. They are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Most people in America probably eat way too many omega-6s and don't get enough omega-3s. That's why I recommend eating at least a tablespoon of ground up flax seeds a day. When you buy them in the store, they are whole. I do not encourage you guys to buy these pre-ground because they've already been oxidized as they're grinding them. Plus, they're probably not grinding them under vacuum. And then plus, they're now in a bag. And once you grind up the seeds, then they are more prone to oxidative damage and spoilage. So that's why I like to vacuum blend to grind up my flax seeds so there's less oxidation during the process of grinding. Then I could store them under vacuum in my fridge or just make as much as I need at that one sitting. Now, the other thing I will say is that, you know, these carafe shapes are optimal for certain different things, right? The wide fat one's better for grinding dry goods. The tall one is better for, you know, blending small amounts. This is better for blending large amounts. For kind of like more coarse chopping, you know, the fat wide carafe is more effective than the tall carafe, although for smoothies, maybe the tall carafe is a bit more effective because you'll get better blade action because as things fall into the blade, if you have enough liquid, it may get ground up better, whereas in the fat carafe, the blades don't extend to the edge of the carafe, so that things may get missed and not fully get blended up. Anyways, let's go ahead and try the flax seeds first. We have approximately 3 ounces of flax seeds going in each blender. And what we'll be doing is we'll be grinding them on high for like, I don't know, a minute or something. All right, so first step is we gotta pull a vacuum on both. Press the buttons and we're gonna come back at you when the vacuums are completely pulled. So now let's go ahead and blend. I've set the Dynapro to basically blend with its timer so it goes off, and I set it to high, so all I gotta do is press the button to get this to run for a minute. And over on the Vitamix, I have that on high, and I just gotta flip this to up. So we'll try to do these both concurrently. right, so they both ran for about a minute, and let's go ahead and check the results here. Take out the vacuum on this guy. And what we're going to do is we're going to pour all the mixture through a coarse sieve here. Alright, so it's been a little bit difficult to get things out of the bottom of the biochef because like there's this big stainless steel piece with a, like a little lip on there. Plus, there's not a lot of area between the blade and the walls to kind of get in there. So there's going to be stuff kind of stuck in there that I wasn't able to get out. And then over on the biochef, we're going to go ahead and pull the vacuum off and lift up this lid. Very important when you are doing any kind of grinding like this to have a completely dry carafe. On this guy, a little bit easier to get around the blades. So you won't tear up your spatula as much. A lot easier actually. I really love this carafe because it's a lot easier to kind of get around there. So let's go ahead and pour this in. For me, it was a lot easier to get all the ingredients out of the Dynapro carafe than the biochef. So next step is let's go ahead and shake these flax meal down. It will use the spatula to kind of like push some of the stuff through. Some of the stuff is kind of stuck together. Alright, after pushing all that stuff through the sieve, I want to show you guys this. This is crazy. Look at that. There's so many seeds left in the biochef, and there's not too many seeds left in the tribest. The tribest is a lot more effective with its carafe shape to grind up the flax seeds. I'd say probably it's, man, this is like a lot more. It's like, I don't know, 5 times more flax seeds that were unground than the Dynapro. So, oh, and then the other thing is, all the stuff went through the sieve, but what's the fineness of the powder on these guys? I mean, that's a pretty fine powder there. I see a lot of larger coarse pieces though, and on this, it's pretty much the same. It's interesting though. I use the same flax seeds. And if you look closely, the colors vary just a little bit in the colors. So in this test, I'm going to have to give it to the Dynapro. The Dynapro clearly won the flax grinding test, something that's very important to me. Now I want to show you guys actually how with the Dynapro or the biochef pump, you can store things under vacuum in a mason jar. So there's a standard mason jar. We're going to go ahead and pour all our flax seeds, and once again, I made it under vacuum. Now I want to store these flax seeds under vacuum so we don't expose it to the oxygen that can cause the fats to go rancid and also lower the nutrition. So once we have that in there, then you're just going to go ahead and get a standard mason jar lid, right? Then what you want to do is you want to pop a little tiny hole in the mason jar lid. You could use like a push pin. I just have like an eye bolt that has like a little point. You could use a screw. You just pop a little hole in it. So now you have a hole in the top of the mason jar lid, right? If you just put this on now and you put the vacuum pump on here, you could suck the air out of this, but the problem is the air will rush back in as soon as you remove the pump. So to solve that issue, we're going to use some simple electrical tape. You could get this at like a dollar store near you, or a big box store or home improvement store. And what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and cut off like maybe an inch, a little bit more than an inch, right? So once we got a little bit cut off, what we're now going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut off like a little section, like maybe a 1/4 inch, right? Just a 1/4 inch piece. We're going to go ahead and tape this 1/4 inch piece that I just made to the 1 inch, but right in the middle, right? So the sticky sides are going together right in the middle. So if you guys look, I have now sticky, not sticky because it's the tape upside down on the sticky part, and then we have the sticky. We're going to go ahead and put the middle of this where it's not sticky. We're going to center that exactly on the middle of the hole, right? So what just happened is we just made a vacuum lid. So what happens now is the air could come up through the hole and then come out to the right or the left out the channel to evacuate out, and this little tab is going to be sucked down from the lid. from the tape. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and put this on the top, and we're just gonna go ahead and put a vacuum on it and suck out all the excess oxygen in our mason jar. I will store, juices like this. I'll store, smoothies like this. Everything that I store in a mason jar is now under vacuum, and we just made a simple vacuum lid with the standard lids that come with your mason jars and some tape. Now be aware that this lid may work maybe like a dozen or maybe up to 2 dozen times, but then the little seals on the lids wear out because these are not designed as like multi-use. To remove the vacuum, the simple thing you do is you just basically lift up on the tape, and I want you guys to listen. You could hear all the air rush back in, and now we could pull that lid off. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with the biochef, show you guys that it works. The biochef pump seems to be a little more like higher pitched and run a bit faster, so to me that means there's maybe a smaller diaphragm that's pumping out. That's my personal opinion. And it seems, and there we go, it stopped. So really it's not too hard to pull a vacuum on a jar so that you can save your mixtures under vacuum the simple and easy way. So next I'm going to do a simulated smoothie test where I'm blending coconut water with a few, like 4 hazelnuts and 2 collard green leaves to see which one of these blenders will grind to a better texture, because we're going to put these mixtures through a sieve after running these blenders the same amount of time. So we're just going to go ahead and dump in the coconut water in each blender. Next, we're going to go ahead and put in the 4 nuts in each blender. Then we're going to go ahead and just basically break the leaves in half once and then twice and drop those into the blender. And same thing on this side, break it in half once, break it in half twice, and put it in the blender. And we're going to go ahead and put the tops on. One of the things I hate the most is because I often make nut and dressings, so I'll use like orange juice and macadamia nuts, for example. And when I put in this mixture in some blenders, sometimes the nuts will actually travel around the blade, and even if I blend it for 30 seconds, it won't get ground up into that nice cream that I'm looking for. I've found that in general, taller carafes work a bit better to make things into a cream than a wider carafe, but let's see what happens. So once again, we got to pull a vacuum on both these guys. And we're going to come back at you when we got a vacuum pulled. So the vacuum has been pulled. Let's go ahead and remove these vacuums off both machines. I'm going to run each machine at 40 seconds on high. And once again, we're just going to go ahead and start these up at the same time. All right, stop both machines after 40 seconds, and let's go ahead and see what we got. Start with the biochef, remove the vacuum, a very weak vacuum. I think we might have some kind of vacuum leak on this carafe here. Let's go ahead and pour this mixture out. All right, next let's go ahead and get out the Dynapro. Nice vacuum sucked out. And let's go ahead and pour this mixture through. Oh my gosh, this is totally insane, guys. No joke. This is totally insane. This is absolutely insane. One of these does not meet my specifications, and this doesn't really surprise me too much. After 40 seconds blending on high, now of course if you ran the blender longer you would get better results, so maybe if you ran this for 2 minutes it might grind better than running, and about the same as running this for 40 seconds, but I want to show you guys this. This is insane. Which one had more fiber left in unground items? The biochef, man. Oh my gosh. This has at least 4 to 5 times more unground stuff that didn't fit through this coarse sieve. And that's just super impressive. Once again, your Vitamix would probably be closer in terms to the Dynapro if you have a standard Vitamix carafe, because that has a sharper blade, but I've never liked the biochef carafe with its serrated blade. Seems to beat things up more and not fully grind them up. And I know this has been the main complaint for people that get the biochef. They're willing to deal with the maybe not as fineness because they really see the value of the vacuum. But for those of you guys that are connoisseurs that really want a fine grind, I mean, clearly the Dynapro did a lot better job than the biochef in this instance. So now the last test we're gonna do is we're gonna vacuum juice in the vacuum blender. And you're saying, wait a second, John, blenders make smoothies, juicers make juice. Yeah, the main difference is the juicers remove some of the fiber when you make the juice, and I'm gonna accomplish the same thing by blending under vacuum, which in my opinion is better than using even a slow juicer, because slow juicers, while juicing, they introduce air into the juice. Even if you're using the best juicer, the Santa 727 that runs at 40 RPMs, that introduces the least amount of air into the juice, it still introduces the air. Whereas under vacuum blending, all the cell walls are broken up under vacuum, so you're not getting the oxidation to occur. Now, once you make the smoothie, literally that's what we're making. We're making a smoothie and we're putting it through a nut milk bag. This is the best nut milk bag for making juice with your vacuum blender. This is the Alexa's bag for nut milk or juice. It's at alexasbags.com. It's nice and big. Now, Tom Dixon got me into vacuum juicing. I never understood why it would be good to vacuum juice until he enlightened me literally and was like, John, you got to try this. And when I tried it, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been juicing wrong all these years. Seriously, I'll put a couple links down below to juicing in the Dynapro if you guys want to learn more. But I want to just show the differences between vacuum juicing in a tall, narrow carafe versus a fat, wide carafe. I've measured out even amounts of produce. Today we are juicing cranberries and pineapples. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump all that in there. And we're going to go ahead and dump that in the biochef carafe as well. All right. We're going to go ahead and put these both on, and we're going to go ahead and suck a vacuum on both these containers. All right, both the pumps stop. Let's go ahead and remove the pumps. So what are we going to do today? I think we're going to blend on high for 30 seconds in each blender. And so we're just going to press the button here and turn it on here. 1, 2, 3. All right, as you guys can see, the Dynapro side blended while the biochef did not. Because it's so tall, it was not able to basically drop all the items in. That's why I'm not a big fan of the tall and narrow carafes. You could probably shake this up a little bit and then oops, don't ever do that. You could shake it up a little bit, then put it back on there and blend it up a little bit more, and then shake a little bit more, and then put it on there a little bit more. Or the other thing is you can just add more liquid to get it to blend properly. But when I'm making a juice, I don't want to dilute my juices with water. And actually, while this did blend, I probably should have ran it another 30 seconds to get it a little bit finer consistency. So I think I'll do that right now. We have a nice pink mixture. Let's go ahead and pull the vacuum off there. And let's go ahead and lift this lid off. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this into the Alexa's bags. And this is sitting in a 2-quart Anchor Hocking measuring cup. You could probably use a 2-quart Pyrex measuring cup. Or you could use other suitable bowl, but I really like how the bag just literally fits over the whole bowl. So it'll make this process a lot easier. Once again, I do like the Dynapro because it's fat and wide. It's really easy to get a spatula in there to spatula your entire mixture out. And this is something not easily accomplished in the tall carafes, such as on the biochef. All right, next step is you're going to get your hands dirty. We're gonna go ahead and push this down to the bottom and literally just squeeze it with our hand. You guys can see all the liquid coming out, all the juice coming out. All right, I'm just about done pressing all that out. And I want to show you guys what's left here. If we just dump out this pulp. This pulp is like super dry, and now we have a fresh juice made under vacuum. Nice, rich, deep color that exceeds the quality of a juicer, and many juicers may have a problem juicing things like fruits, and vacuum juicing is the best way for fruits. Delicious. Cranberries, tart, but the pineapple cut it really nicely. As you see, the biochef was not able to do this, so I'm probably gonna dump this in the Dynapro and reblend it and get it to work. So in the end of this episode, I'm gonna declare the winner of this episode, the Dynapro. Clearly, it was a much superior blender to make vacuum smoothies. Number one, I believe the pump is a bit stronger. Number two, it has a longer warranty, 15 years on the entire pump, 15 years on the entire blender, including the carafe. Number three, it did a better job grinding dry ingredients, left 5 times less unground flax seeds. Next, in the smoothie comparison, it ground to a finer particle size, which means that you're gonna have a smoother consistency for your smoothies and other blended mixtures, including sauces and dressings like I like to make, so that your nuts will actually get fractionated into a cream sauce when blending with liquids versus remaining larger chunks. Number three, of course, the Dynapro was easily able to do the vacuum juicing due to the fat and wide carafe made the juice, whereas this mixture just did not blend up. So I'm gonna probably dump this in the Dynapro and then reblend it and then re-squeeze it out. So I guess in the end of this episode, I'm going to declare the winner, the Dynapro by a mile. It just worked a lot better. Now, if you already have a biochef, hey, and you love using it, keep using it. Keep vacuum blending. Once again, I don't care how you guys vacuum blend, because vacuum blending, you know, is a lot better than traditional blending. That being said, if you guys want to up your game, to me, the Dynapro is clearly the way to go. This is the best vacuum blender on the market that I've tested to date, with the longest warranty, backed up by a company based in the United States. They've always taken care of me and my customers, and if you purchase from discount juicers, I'll make sure they take care of you too if you have an honest, legitimate warranty claim. The final thing I'd like to say is, if you guys appreciate my videos, appreciate all the time that I go through to blend up different ingredients and compare these things and share with you guys vacuum blending and even slow juicing, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Of course, we sell the Dynapro vacuum blender in the nice red as well as the gray. Links down below in the description and the first comment for that. And we also sell the biochef vacuum blender carafe, so you can transform your Vitamix into a vacuum blender. Link down below for that as well. And your purchase at Discount Juicers allows me to continue to make these videos to share with you guys the truth about what happens when you blend the ingredients, or even juice the same ingredients in the same two juicers, and get my expert commentary that I'm glad to do for you guys. But I need your guys' support, so I appreciate you guys that have supported me in the past and have purchased at Discount Juicers. And I want to thank you guys in advance who will purchase from me, because you've gained some knowledge from this video, which basically saved you from going to the school of hard knocks like I've went to many times. So, thank you. Finally, be sure to thumbs this video up if you like this video, want me to do more videos with vacuum blending in the Dynapro or even the biochef. I'm a big fan of vacuum blending, and I prefer vacuum blending, in terms of nutrition quality and taste of the juice, even over and above juicing at this point. Although sometimes I like the convenience of putting everything in the juicer and letting it juice and coming back and have the juice done, whereas this, you gotta blend up, then you gotta squeeze it, and then you gotta clean all this stuff up, all right? Also, be sure to share this video with somebody else that you think it can help that could be enlightened and learn more about vacuum blending. If they already have a Vitamix, maybe they might want to get a Dynapro to get a full 15-year warranty and get the best vacuum blender on the market at this time. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below. You never know where I'll show up or what new appliances I'll be testing on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click little bells to get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 600 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting all the different appliances that allow you to process fruits and vegetables in the best way possible so that you guys can get the health benefits from them. Put a couple links down below to videos I've made previously with the biochef and about the Dynapro 2250 if you are interested. I encourage you guys to watch all my videos because there's always a little nugget or tidbit that you'll learn from each video that I might not have said in this one. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.